Good morning. We must know many of the complex autonomic mechanisms that maintain the chemical constancy and temperature of the internal environment are integrated in the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus also functions with the limbic system as a unit that regulates emotional behavior. The principal afferent and efferent neural pathways to and from the hypothalamus are mostly unmyelinated. Many connect the hypothalamus to the limbic system. Important connection also exists between the hypothalamus and nuclei in the midbrain, tegmentum, pons, and hindbrain. Relation of hypothalamus to the pituitary gland. As we know, there are neural connection between the hypothalamus and the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland or neural hypophysis, and vascular connection between the hypothalamus and the anterior lobe or adenohypophysis. The adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary gland secrete several hormones: adrenocorticotropic hormone, corticotropin, ACTH, thyroid stimulating hormone or thyrotropin, TSH, growth hormone, GH, follicle stimulating hormone or FSH, LH, which also called in men ICSH, interstitial cell stimulating hormone, in addition to prolactin. There are additional polypeptides as beta lipotropin, beta LPH, which secreted with ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. We must know that the hypothalamus play an important stimulatory role in regulation of ACTH secretion, beta lipotropin, TSH, growth hormone, FSH, and LH. It also regulates prolactin secretion, but its effect is predominantly inhibitory rather than stimulatory. The remaining anterior pituitary gland hormones stimulate subordinated peripheral endocrine glands to grow as well as secrete and release their hormones. These hormones may be divided into gonadotropins or gonadotrophins, which act on the gonads, and non-gonadotropic hormones or non-gonadotrophic hormones, which influence the activity of the adrenal gland and thyroid gland. For example, the gonadotropins include FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, or folitropin, and LH, luteinizing hormone, or lutotropin. Both act on the gonads of men as well as women. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone stimulate the maturation of the follicle in the ovary and promote spermatogenesis or development of sperm in men, while LH act on the interstitial cells of the ovary and the testis, initiating ovulation in women and enhancing testosterone secretion in men, so-called interstitial cells stimulating hormone ICSH in male. Non-gonadotropic hormones include corticotropin or adrenocorticotropic hormone and thyrotropin or thyroid stimulating hormone TSH, whereas ACTH acts to stimulate the adrenal cortex or cortex of the adrenal gland. TSH stimulates the secretion of hormones by the thyroid glands. These are non-gonadotropic hormones. Anterior pituitary gland insufficiency. Adenohypophysis insufficiency means reduced release of anterior pituitary hormones. Deficiency of hormones affecting other endocrine glands is especially serious since it leads to malfunction of the peripheral glands depending on it. For instance, a deficiency in ACTH leads to adrenocortical insufficiency, while a lack of thyrotropin leads to symptoms of hypothyroidism. Disorders of secretion and release of gonadotropins, LH and FSH, lead to various disturbances in gonadal function in both men and women. A post-pubertal woman then suffers from amenorrhea and does not ovulate. Man, symptom amenorrhea. An adult man will suffer primarily from loss of potency and libido, as well as shrinking of the testes. If the somatotrope growth hormone is deficient in childhood, the result is hypophyseal infantilism or pituitary dwarfism, in which the body proportions are maintained. Body proportions are maintained in pituitary dwarfism. Pineal gland is a small B-shaped gland in the brain. We call it pineal gland or pineal body or epiphysis cerebri. Researchers said that it produces and regulates some hormones including melatonin. Melatonin is the best known for the role it plays in regulating sleep patterns, day and night patterns. Sleep patterns are also called circadian rhythm. Its structure is lobular with connective tissue and numerous blood vessels. It plays an important role in the coordination of hormonal process in the hypothalamus. The most important hormone of the pineal gland is melatonin. Melatonin is serotonin derivative hormone. The formation of melatonin depends on light. High blood concentration at night, so we call it darkness hormone, melatonin. Low concentration by day, and in many cases is also dependent on the season of the year. For this reason, the pineal gland is sometimes called the biological clock, circadian rhythm. In childhood, Melatonin inhibits the release of gonadotropins. Melatonin suppresses secretion of FSH-LH and so the development of the gonads. Also, pineal gland, called the third eye, called the mind's eye or inner eye, is a mystical and esoteric concept of a speculative invisible eye, usually depicted as located on the forehead, which provide perception beyond ordinary sight. Pineal gland essential for the endocrine organs. The function of the pineal gland was the last discovered. Pineal gland located deep in the center of the brain. The pineal gland was once known as the third eye. The pineal gland produces melatonin, which helps maintain circadian rhythm and regulate reproductive hormones. Melatonin block or suppress the secretion of gonadotropins, as we said, luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone from the adenohypophysis. LH and FSH aid to the proper development and functioning of the ovaries and testes. The pineal gland's full purpose is still a bit of a mystery, but research suggests that we're getting closer to understanding the pineal gland and more about the endocrine system as a whole. You must know, melatonin is the best known for the role it plays in regulating sleep patterns. Sleep patterns are also called circadian rhythm. Also, we must remember pineal gland plays a role in the regulation of female hormone level, and it may affect fertility and the menstrual cycle due to the melatonin produced and excreted by the pineal gland. Also, melatonin play part in protection against cardiovascular diseases such as atherosclerosis and hypertension. A number of other functions of melatonin have been discovered more recently, leading to its use as a medication in some countries. It is not only regulating the day-night rhythm, it has been used to help sleep, especially for shift workers and jet lag, but is also an effective antioxidant. It eliminates damaging oxygen radicals. Growth hormone secreted from adenohypophysis or anterior lobe of pituitary gland. The long arm of human chromosome 17, as we know, each chromosome contains short arm and long arm, P and Q. Growth hormone genes are in long arm of human chromosome 17, which contains the growth hormone HCS cluster that contains 5 genes. The basal plasma growth hormone level in adult human is normally less than 3 nanogram per milliliter. Melatonin strengthens the immune system, prevent cardiac and circulatory as well as malignant diseases, and retard aging. Melatonin, the retard aging, anti-aging Also, melatonin secretion decline with increasing age, and the gland undergoes degenerative changes and calcium deposition. Growth hormone or somatotropin. Somatotropin is a protein of about 190 amino acids that is synthesized and secreted by somatotroph cells in the anterior pituitary gland. Growth hormone activity has two distinct types of effects. The first effect is called direct effects as the result of growth hormone binding to its receptors, to growth hormone receptors on target cells. For example, adipocytes, fat cells, have growth hormone receptors, and growth hormone stimulate them to break down triglycerides and suppress their ability to take up and accumulate circulating lipids. The indirect effect of growth hormone mediated by IGF, insulin-like growth factor. We have several types of insulin-like growth factors, or called somatomedins. The main one is IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, or somatomedin C, a hormone that is secreted from liver and other tissues in response to growth hormone was secreted from adenohypophysis. A majority of the growth promoting effect of growth hormone is actually due to IGF-1 acting on its target cells. All the major anterior pituitary glands hormones, except of growth hormone, exert their effects by stimulating target glands, target endocrine glands, like thyroid gland, adrenal gland, cortex of adrenal gland, ovaries, testes, mammary glands. The functions of each of these pituitary hormones are so intimately concerned with the functions of the respective target gland. Growth hormone, in contrast to other hormones, does not function through a target gland, but exerts its effects directly on all cells and tissues. As we said, growth hormone is also called somatotropin, somatotrophin, or somatotropic hormones. Growth hormone has important effects on protein, lipid, and carbohydrate metabolism. In some cases, there are direct effects of growth hormone. In others, IGF-1 is thought to be the critical mediator, and in some cases it appears that both direct and indirect effects are to play, or there is synergistic action between growth hormone and somatomedins. Growth hormone has multiple specific metabolic effects, including increased rate of protein synthesis, increased mobilization of fatty acids from adipose tissue, decreased rate of glucose utilization. Growth hormone enhanced body proteins uses up fat stores Growth hormone promotes and increases protein deposition in tissue. Protein metabolism. In general, growth hormone stimulates protein anabolism in many tissues. This effect reflects increased amino acid uptake, increased protein synthesis, and decreased oxidation of protein. While fat metabolism, growth hormone enhances the utilization of fat by stimulating triglyceride breakdown and oxidation in adipocytes. And in carbohydrate metabolism, growth hormone is one of a battery of hormones that serves to maintain blood glucose within a normal range. We can say growth hormone have anti-insulin activity because it suppresses the abilities of insulin to stimulate uptake of glucose in peripheral tissues and enhance glucose synthesis in the liver. So, growth hormone has diabetogenic effects. Growth hormone induces insulin resistance. So, growth hormone's effects are called diabetogenic effects. And excess secretion of growth hormone can produce metabolic disturbances very similar to those found in patients with type 2 diabetes, non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, who are also very resistant to the metabolic effects of insulin. Growth hormone exerts much of its effects through intermediate substances. Growth hormone stimulates the production of in several tissues growth factors called somatomedins or insulin-like growth factors, which are polypeptide. These factors, somatomedins, secreted by liver and many other tissues in response to stimulation by growth hormone. And these somatomedins are tightly bound to the plasma proteins, so have longer half-life. Somatomedins have the potent effects of increasing all aspects of growth. Many of these effects on growth are similar to the effects of insulin on growth. Therefore, somatomedins are also called insulin-like growth factor, IGFS. There are at least 4 types of somatomedins. 4 somatomedins isolated. The first one is IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. The second, IGF-2, insulin-like growth factor 2. And 2 are relaxin hormones. But the most important of these somatomedins is somatomedin C, which called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. IGF-2, insulin growth factor 2, play a role in the growth of fetus during intrauterine life. In adulthood, IGF-1. Intrauterine life, IGF-2. IGF-1 and the growth hormone, somatomedin with the growth hormone, act synergistically in cell differentiation and cell growth. A big piece of Africa have a congenital inability to produce somatomedin C. Therefore, even their plasma level of growth hormone is normal or high or with upper normal limit, they have diminished amounts of somatomedin C in the plasma, low level of somatomedin C. This apparently accounts for the small stature of these people. Some other dwarf, Levy-Loindorf, also have this problem. High levels of growth hormone in their plasma but low levels of somatomedin C lead to dwarfism. Growth hormone attaches weakly to the plasma proteins in the blood. As we said, therefore it is released from the blood into the tissues rapidly, having a half time in the blood of less than 20 minutes. Short half-life, 20 minutes. While somatoprotein C or RGF1 attaches strongly to the plasma proteins in the blood. The result of somatoprotein half-life is long half-life, about 20 hours, 60 times the half-life of growth hormone. Regulation of growth hormone secretion or control of growth hormone secretion. Production of growth hormone is modulated by many factors, including stress, exercise, nutrition, sleep, and growth hormone itself. However, its primary controllers are two hypothalamic hormones and one hormone from the stomach. For many years, it was believed that the growth hormone was secreted primarily during the period of growth, but then disappeared from the blood at adulthood. This has proved to be untrue. After adolescence, secretion decreases slowly with aging, finally falling to about 25% of the adolescent level in very old age. We must remember, growth hormone secreted in a pulsatile pattern, increasing and decreasing. Several factors related to a person's state of nutrition status are known to stimulate secretion. The first one, starvation with severe protein deficiency, hypoglycemia, low fatty acid level in circulation, exercise, excitement, trauma. These factors stimulate growth hormone secretion. Growth hormone also increases during or at the first 2 hours of deep sleep. This slide, growth hormone releasing hormone, GHRH. GHRH, growth hormone releasing hormone, is a hypothalamic hormone, hypothalamic peptide that stimulates the synthesis and secretion of growth hormone. This is very important hormone. We see also SS somatostatin or GHIH, growth hormone inhibiting hormone, is a peptide produced by several tissues in the body, including hypothalamus. This is hypothalamic somatostatin. We can find somatostatin also in pancreas. We call it pancreatic somatostatin. But in regulation of GH, hypothalamic somatostatin or GHIH. This somatostatin inhibits growth hormone release in response to growth hormone releasing hormone and to other stimulatory factors such as low blood glucose concentration. Ghrelin is a peptide hormone secreted from the stomach. This hormone binds to receptors on somatotrophs and potentially stimulates secretion of growth hormone. Growth hormone secretion is also part of a negative feedback loop involving IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. High blood levels of IGF-1 lead to decreased secretion of growth hormone, not only by directly suppressing the somatotroph, but by stimulating release of somatostatin from the hypothalamus. Also, growth hormone feeds back to inhibit GHRH, growth hormone releasing hormone secretion, and probably has direct as autocrine inhibitory effect. Autocrine inhibitory effect. We know what that means. Autocrine effect on secretion from the somatotroph. Integration of all the factors that affect growth hormone synthesis and secretion lead to a pulsatile pattern of release. Basal concentrations of growth hormone in the blood are very low. In children and young adults, the most intense period of growth hormone release is shortly after the onset of deep sleep. The normal concentration of growth hormone in the plasma of an adult is between 1.5 to 3 nanogram per milliliter. In a child or adolescent, it is about 6 nanogram per milliliters. This slide summarizes the factors that stimulate or inhibit growth hormone secretion. The factors that stimulate growth hormone secretion, as we said, decreased blood glucose, decreased blood fatty acids, starvation, fasting, protein deficiency, trauma, stress, excitement, exercise, hormones, testosterone and estrogen, deep sleep, growth hormone releasing hormone, GHRH, from the hypothalamus. The factors that inhibit growth hormone secretion: increased blood glucose, increased blood fatty acids, aging, obesity, somatostatin, GHIH, growth hormone inhibiting hormone, exogenous GH growth hormone, somatomedins, insulin-like growth factors, cortisol. These hormones, somatostatin, growth hormone, somatomedin, cortisol, are hormones. Clinical deficiency in growth hormone or defects in its binding to receptor are being as growth retardation or dwarfism. The manifestation of growth hormone deficiency depends upon the age of onset of the disorder and can result from either heritable or acquired diseases. The main abnormalities of growth hormone secretion. The first one, panhypopituitarism. This term means decreased secretion of all the anterior pituitary hormones. The decrease in the secretion may be congenital or present from birth, or it may be occur suddenly or slowly at any time during life, most often resulting from pituitary tumor that destroys pituitary. Dwarfism. Most instances of dwarfism result from generalized deficiency of anterior pituitary secretion, or as we said, panhypopituitarism during childhood. In general, all the physical parts of the body develop in appropriate proportion to one another, but the rate of development is greatly decreased. For example, A child who has reached the age of 10 years may have the bodily development of a child age 4 to 5 years. And the same person at age 20 years may have the bodily development of a child of 7 to 10 years. A person with panhypopituitarism does not pass through puberty and never secrete sufficient amounts of gonadotropin, gonadotropic hormones, LH and FSH. In 1/3 of such dwarfs, however, only growth hormone is deficient. These persons do mature sexually and reproduce. In some types of dwarfism, like African pygmy and the Levi-Loin dwarfism, the rate of growth hormone secretion is normal or high, but there is deficiency in somatomedin C in circulation. They still dwarf. Giantism is the result of excess growth hormone secretion that begins in young children or adolescents. It is a very rare disorder, usually resulting from a tumor of somatotropes. One of the most famous giants was a man named Robert Wadlow. He weighed 8.5 pounds at birth, but by 5 years of age was 105 pounds and 5 feet 4 inches tall. Robert reached an adult weight of 490 pounds and 8 feet 11 inches in height. He died at age 22. Giantism, occasionally the acidophilic growth hormone producing cells of the anterior pituitary gland becomes excessively active, and sometimes even acidophilic tumors occur in the gland. As a result, large quantities of growth hormone are produced. All body tissues grow rapidly, including the bones. If the condition occurs before adolescence, before the epiphyses of the long bones have become fused with the shaft, height increases so that the person becomes a giant up to 8 feet tall. The giant has hyperglycemia, and there's degeneration of beta cells in pancreas. About 10% of giants full-blown DM. In most giant, panhypopituitarism eventually develops if they remain untreated, because the giantism is usually caused by a tumor of the pituitary gland that goes until the gland itself is destroyed. Acromegaly results from excessive secretion of growth hormone in adults, usually the result of benign pituitary tumors. The onset of this disorder is typically insidious, occurring over several years. Clinical signs of acromegaly include overgrowth of extremities, soft tissue swelling, abnormalities in jaw structure, and cardiac diseases. Excessive growth hormone and IGF-1 also lead to a number of metabolic disorders, including hyperglycemia. Possible role of decreased growth hormone secretion in causing changes associated with aging. In people who have lost the ability to secrete growth hormone or decreased ability of secretion growth hormone, some features of aging process accelerating. For instance, a 50-year-old person who has been with low growth hormone level for many years may have the appearance of a person aged 65 or 70 years. The aged appearance seems to result mainly from decreased protein deposition in most tissues of the body and increased fat deposition. The physical and physiological effects are increased wrinkling of the skin, diminished rate of function of some of the organs, and diminished muscle mass and strength. This table shows the age and level of growth hormone. We can see from 5 to 20 years about 6 nanogram per ml. Age 20 to 40 years about 3. 40 to 70 years about 1.6.